Hi, I'm Dr. Zeest Khan, the Long COVID MD. I'm a physician with Long COVID, and I've applied all of my medical expertise to my recovery. Luckily, it's working, and I want to share what I've learned with you. On this podcast, I help you understand your body and understand the healthcare system so you can move your own health forward. We've got a lot to talk about, but remember, nothing I say here replaces personalized medical advice from your healthcare team. Let's get started. Today is an emotion episode more than a medical episode. You can come back next week and there might be a medical episode for you. I want to talk about an issue that I've been reflecting on and facing recently. It might be something you have faced at any point in your recovery, but it's coming up for me now in a really strong way as my health is improving and I am trying to use my brain a little more than I have been able to thus far. This podcast is a new project for me. I don't have enough health to return to my career as an anesthesiologist, but I have enough health that I wanted to learn how to do this. The process of recording a podcast takes a fair amount of energy. And this episode in particular was triggered by the fact that I spent the last week diligently working on an episode that was exceptionally challenging for me. It was draining my energy quite a bit. And so I stepped aside from that, and I'll, record that in a future time. And instead, I wanted to sit with why this was so challenging. And there's a couple of reasons. One is, of course, the effort itself in producing a podcast episode. But as importantly, if not more, there is an energy drain in the judgment that comes up and that I direct towards myself as I'm learning something new. Learning the tech side of podcasting, building up my reading endurance, building up my writing endurance takes energy itself. And as I am doing that, I realize very acutely that this is much harder for me to do than it used to be. It is bold in my face that I have less cognitive capacity today than I did in 2019. And I'm very sad about that. The way that the grief showed up this week was a lot of negative self-talk, getting angry and frustrated at myself, and just being a little mean to myself. As I faced these limitations this week, I was remembering that I am doing this because I can't work as a doctor. I am doing this because this horrible thing happened to me. Every fumble and every stumble, which is a normal part of the process of learning a new skill, is a reminder that my life path was altered so significantly. The flip side to this, of course, is that I am well enough now to try something new. And I've got to pat myself on the back and celebrate learning a new skill set and building up my cognitive abilities after, a pretty major insult. But that's not what came up this week. What came up this week was just me being mean to myself because I was sad. What came up this week was a lot of frustration at recognizing my vulnerabilities. And that's not a comfortable place to sit. But this is not a process that I can offload to somebody else. I have to work through this. I recognize that I could do a better job of being kind to myself, of showing myself grace. And the question that came up was, how do you love yourself through these limitations? How do you continue to love yourself as you stumble? And maybe I didn't practice that enough in my previous life. And this is an opportunity to do that now and to learn how to do that. You know, there is such little room for mistakes in medicine, especially in heart surgery. And I think that message has, intertwined itself in my DNA. And the fact of the matter is, the stakes right now for doing a podcast, those are not nearly as high. And every time you learn something new, you're going to have a period where you are not an expert. That's what learning is. I recognize these things. It's really hard to rehabituate, though. So, how are you doing it? How are you, at whatever stage you are, how are you loving yourself through your limitations? How are you showing yourself grace? How are you being kind to yourself? Because as important as it is to understand the medical and biological causes of this disease process, as important as it is to identify and stick with treatments that can help our symptoms, it is also important to work through the grief that we are facing right now. I thought I was sort of over and had dealt with my grief. And this is just a reminder that grief continues to show up in different ways, and is always going to be there. And I don't think grief is an enemy, and I don't want to get disabled by the grief. So share with me how you're doing this. This is my reminder to myself to show myself compassion. This is my reminder to you to show yourself compassion, even if it's just in this moment. Gosh, I didn't think it was going to get this emotional for me. But I did say we're talking about emotion. I'll wrap it up there. Thank you for listening to Long COVID MD podcast. I'm Dr. Zeest Khan. I really would love to hear from you. You can message me on my website at longcovidmd.com, or you can email me directly at longcovidmd@gmail.com. You can find me on Twitter at Dr._Zeest. My DMs are open there. I hope you're feeling well today. And until next time, bye for now.